So today is my first Christmas video for this year. I found a little rocking horse, vintage rocking horse this summer over at a garage sale. And I spent a lot of time fixing her. When doing some research, I found nobody actually, I didn't find anything that showed it from the beginning to the end. So that's what I did. I created this video showing you every step to taking an old vintage rocking horse and making her into hopefully a family heirloom. I am so excited about her, I cannot tell you. I love how she turned out. She's got everything in her I wished for. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, but I am warning you, it's very thorough. But if you have one you want to work on, I'm pretty sure this video will give you a really good hand in getting it started, okay? Thanks for watching. Bye.
Let's get started. This is what the little horse looked like before. I'm so excited to get started on this little rocking horse. She has vinyl ears, and I think she's handmade likely in the 70s because of those ears. She also has a ticking and wool mane, so that makes me think it was homemade. Her mane is very dirty. I was thinking about trying to clean it and put it back, but I don't really like it that much, so I'm not crazy about the color either. So I'm going to replace that. She's going to be quite a bit of work, but I think she's absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to have her under my Christmas tree. Here's a little vintage horse all dismantled. You can see its terrible paint job, but it does have the potential to go right down to wood. I started by stripping it twice on both sides, doing it once, and then I had to flip it over, do the other side. Then I covered it with plastic, let it sit about an hour and a half. Don't let it go overnight. I made that mistake and then it was too dry. So that's how it came off. It came off pretty darn good. But you have to do both sides. Then once I did the first time, then I had to leave it over, redo it a second time, covered it with plastic again, and then let it sit for another hour and a half. I shortened this part of the video up. I did all the pieces individually, but there you can see how close you can see the green in that coming out. So I was getting really excited at this part because I knew right then that I'd be able to sand it right down. So here I am busy taking off the last of the stripper residue and the little bit of remaining paint that's left. The rest of the horse is done. I wish I'd had some mineral spirits to clean this off after this, but I didn't have any and the weather was terrible. It was storming, so I wasn't about to go get any. So I had to work with what I had. And if you watch me sand this, you can avoid this problem by wiping it all down with mineral spirits and getting rid of the residue from the stripper first. If not, go ahead like I did here. You can see me. I'm going to sand and sand. And as it strips off, I'll go back and stop from time to time. And I will scrape the residue that builds up on the piece as it happens. And occasionally I'll even go and do it on my sandpaper. There I am. I'm coming in now, and you'll see you'll see the actual technical term gunk built up by the neck, and you can see it. And it's not stain, it's not wood, it's residue from the stripper. Citrus strip is, I find, does this even more so for me. I found that mineral spirits does a really good job of getting rid of it. You're going to see me point out the big part of it where it builds up right here. See it building there? Anyway, scrape it off with a scraper and take it off your sandpaper from time to time, and you don't need to worry. You'll be good to go. Here it is all done, sanded right down to the grain. So here's the subtle whitewash finish I got on the horse, and I did that on her head and on these upper pieces here. And I used this salmon whitewashing, Saman, I don't know how to pronounce it, this whitewashing, and it worked really well. You don't use very much of it. And then I took the rest of it because I disliked the stain so much. I just sanded it down until I got it the way I liked it. And now it looks pretty good. Okay, and then once all that was done, I went in with this Fusion Clear Tough Coat, and I rubbed it on every surface using just a white rag. We're going to use 2 of these mop heads from the Dollar Tree to make our horse's mane. They're 100% cotton, but you do have to take the green off the bottom by stitching it, and I asked Hubs to take the top off for me. He said he makes it look pretty easy. He just clipped the 2 sides off and then pulled the cotton off. Voila. Good stuff, hon. Thank you. It's really surprising how much you get off of one mop, but I did use 2 and I rolled it after that. This here is the original mane, and you can see that it had some ticking there. I wasn't able to get ticking nearby, so I substituted some thrift store blanket edging. In order to make it fit on the top of my horse, I had to sew it into thirds so it was the right width. I sewed it down the middle, folded it, and sewed it down the edge. If you can get real ticking tape, you get to skip this part. Sometimes I just gotta work with what I have. Next, I'm going to take 2 long pieces of the thread, and I double checked that they're braidable. So I will take the threads apart and braid them later on, but right now I'm just going to cut 2 of them 34 inches long, and then I'm going to sew them to the edge of my tape there so that they line along the front. I'll use them to braid the edges and cover them later on, once it's on the horse actually. I'm just going to sew them on with a good zigzag stitch, doing it a few times. So now we're finally getting to making the mane. I'm cutting each strip 30 inches long, or no, 24 inches long. And then I'm going to use the first one as a template for the other ones. I won't bore you and have you sit with me while I do them all, but that's how I cut them. Here I'm taking it, you can see the 2 long ones at the top, and now I'm taking the shorter ones that'll be the actual mane, folding them in half, sticking them underneath the foot at center and sewing them in, and then repeating for the next one. I'm going to fold it in half to find center, put center under the foot, and zigzag it into place. I just repeat that for the entire length. Now I want to put on, I'm finishing it here, I want to put on a second layer to the mane to make it as thick as possible, but I don't want to run out of the mop cotton. So I'm going to put this aside now, do the tail, and then I'll come back to it. Here Hubs took the second mop head apart for me, and we stripped it down. I cut it down into 16 30-inch pieces, took 4 of them together, folded them to find center, and now I'm attaching the 4 centers together of the first bundle. I'll make 4 bundles of 4. Finding center, putting it in the machine again. I do this for 2 other bundles, but I'm not going to show you. Once you get the bundles made, I took 2 bundles and I cross them in the middle like this, and then I zigzag them together. So that way I went from 4 bundles of 4 to 2 bundles of 8 each. Now I'm going to repeat that for the other bundles. And now it'll be too thick it was too thick for my sewing machine to be able to do all that. So at the end, what I did was I just used some thread and I hand stitched one large thick bundle over the other thick bundle, and used a needle and thread to attach them and make the top as small as I possibly could. That's the part that will be glued to the horse. I'm just using a needle and thread to do it. So that's it for our little tail. The top part is what I will glue and nail to the horse. And now we got the rest of the extra thread. I know now that I have some cotton left over, and I'm going to go ahead and thicken my mane even more to get it as thick and pretty as I can. As it turned out, I didn't have enough to do a complete second row, but I did have enough to put them about an inch or so apart and stagnate them. I wasn't too worried about them being perfect by any stretch, as long as they were sewn in the center and they weren't all bunched in together. I just sewed them until I used them all up throughout the entire length of the mane. So here's our mane all done. It still has the two long pieces at the front and the rest of it's all hanging in the back. Next, it's nice and thick. Next we will go ahead and attach it to our horse. To attach our mane to the horse, we want to use these little cut tacks, or shoe tacks they're called. You want them because they're really strong and they're really sharp. I just put them in the middle between the hair and hammered them in. Something that isn't sharp enough might bend because it could probably be pretty hard, or worse yet, it would crack the wood. Now we're finally going to get to the long tassels in the front. I'm going to start by unraveling them. And as soon as we get them unraveled, I'm going to braid them. Mine had 4 strings to it, so I put 2 in the middle and just did a regular braid all along the edge. I did cut a large part of this out for you. You do that on both sides. Here I'm making sure that my braided part is long enough that it covers the entire side of our horse. Do it on both sides. So here we are, we're going to finally start attaching this. Now I just used a glue gun and push this in nice and flat along the edge there to cover up the edge of the fabric. When you're going through there, if you see little gaps in your ticking, between the ticking and the wood, go ahead and put glue in there as well and put it down. So you see me doing it right there. I think it does a really good job of hiding that ticking. So you repeat the process on the other side. Thought you might want to see what it looks like on both sides. Once we got the mane done, time to just take on the tail. I put some glue in there, separated the tail out so you kind of seen the middle, plopped it inside the horse, and then used a couple more of the tacks to attach it. Now we're going to start giving our girl a haircut. So what I did was I made sure here, I'm just making sure that the very front is separated, and then I cut it to 7 inches. Then I made sure to pull apart and straighten out the back, starting with the ones that weren't cut, of course. And then I cut everything at about a 45-degree angle. And I do show you the entire process here, although I do speed it up a little bit after along. There's quite a bit of hair in there, which makes it really pretty. Okay, so that's basically what you do. You just cut it, grab the next ones, make sure they're aligned, and trim them. When in doubt, if you come along a piece that's short, leave it, just don't cut it. Otherwise, if you wanted to make it all exactly even, I think you'd end up with a mane that's too short, and I think we should err on making it longer. There weren't many. See, by taking it at a bit of an angle the entire length of the mane, your mane gets a little bit longer the entire time. So from the front to the back. That's why I did the angle. The original, if you remember the original, I think it was cut pretty square and that didn't look right. I'm just cutting up the stragglers. And the mane, or the tail, I just wanted the tail to just be above the floor. So the length of it would actually depend on how big your horse is. But I did exactly the same thing here as I did with the mane, except it's at a 90 degree. I did not angle it here. I almost forgot to show you the ears. I started by making a pattern. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I did. I just traced it and then trimmed it. Using this, I found an old purse at the thrift store that had a little piece of clear leather in a color I liked. I removed it from the purse, cut down everything till I got two good squares, cut out the pattern, and then cut out the ears on the leather. Using the original ears because it had the holes punched out, I made little marks with a pencil on the ears. See, there they are. And I used a a weeder, but any kind of punch, including a nail, would work. I repunched holes in my ears, folded them in half, attached them to the side of our horse with those same tacks. I made an error. You couldn't, the other video was too blurry, so I can just show you one ear here. Each side got one nail, and there they are in our horse. Our horse sleigh bells are very easy to make. I just took a wire with those pretty little beads on it from the dollar store, added some white bells, being careful while I put them on that I didn't knock any of the beads off. Once they were on, I folded the wire and then twisted it in order to hold the bells in place, using the palm of my hand to making them generally the same width apart. Once I got that all done, took a couple of minutes, then I went in and with some florist wire, and I just added the little green sleigh bells in certain areas to give a pop of color. You can use any wire you like, of course, even twist ties, but I like the fine wire because it disappears and you don't really see it. I twisted it on really good and then cut it short with my wire cutters there. There's, by the miracles of video editing, there's the last one going on. And next I'll go ahead and add some greenery. The greenery also came from the dollar store. I really like these particular branches. I found them last year and was excited to find a bunch more this year. I cut 2 twigs off, pretty much the same. I wanted each one to be, the same length with 2 ends in a pine cone. And I use them for the centerpiece in the front. You'll see me fiddling here with it a bit to get them wrapped inside the wire. I use the actual wire that we strung the bells on to hold the greenery in place. I tried to make it as symmetric as possible so that both sides look the same. And once I got them all on, I wired it in place, and that as the final touch I put some an extra green bead in the middle to cover it. And that's all there is to this one.
I hope you get a good look at how we're doing this. So here's her mane, or her decoration, her bells. I'm just going to take them and wrap them around here. Very loosely here so they hang. Just wrap the wires around. Okay, so that's step one. Oh, I think she looks cute like that. There we go. So now we have her mane here. Now the next thing I want to do is we do have some of this left over, and I'm thinking it would look kind of cute wrapped in here too. So I think I'll cut a couple pieces of that and just stick it in. Now I will not glue anything in her mane. If I can't weave it in, she won't be getting it because I want to be able to take it out, right? So I'm just going to put this here like that. There you go. She has that there now. Let's get her another piece right about here. Now she doesn't need lots and lots of stuff on her. Just enough to make her festive. Let's wrap this up and around. That's better. I'll give this one a couple twists too. Now we have, let's see. I hope you get a good look at how we're doing this. So here's her mane, or her decoration, her bells. I'm just going to take them and wrap them around here. very loosely here, so they hang. Just wrap the wires around. Okay, so that's step one. Oh, I think she looks cute like that. There we go. So now we have her mane here. Now the next thing I want to do is we do have some of this left over, and I'm thinking it would look kind of cute wrapped in here too. So I think I'll cut a couple pieces of that and just stick it in. Now I will not glue anything in her mane. If I can't weave it in, she won't be getting it because I want to be able to take it out, right? So I'm just going to put this here like that. There you go. She has that there now. Let's get her another piece right about here. And she doesn't need lots and lots of stuff on her. Just enough to make her festive. Yeah, let's wrap this up and around. That's better. I'll give this one a couple twists too. Now we have, let's get some greenery in her now. Cut this off. Yeah. Put something up in here. I'm just poking this end out because I don't want the end that's there sticking out. I want it hid. Subtle. I think I'll put one more down in here. What do we have? I use the pine cones in the front. Yeah, I'll have to take a second one. Yeah. The next time you'll see her, I'll put some parcels on her. But in the interim, I think she's pretty much finished. I like her. There she is in front. I don't know, I think maybe I'll move the bells in more here and here. Anyway, happy crafting. I'm really happy she's done. She was a lot of work, but she sure doesn't look like she started.